The night sky above Earth was supposed to be silent. The aliens had come with certainty, expecting humanity to fall quickly like the other worlds they had conquered, but what they saw was not fear, it was defiance. Cities went dark to hide, satellites turned into weapons, and within hours the nations of Earth spoke with one voice, something that had never happened before. The invaders struck first, raining destruction on orbiting stations, but human ships rose from Earth's surface, armed with desperate inventions, missiles guided by minds that had been preparing for war in silence. The first clash in orbit was brutal, metal tearing against energy shields, fire scattering across the void, and yet the aliens began to realize something terrifying. Humans did not retreat. They adapted with every passing minute, turning weaknesses into traps, confusion into strategies. When the alien vanguard tried to retreat, they found themselves hunted even in that first battle, chased until their formation broke. Earth had survived the first strike, and humanity had spoken with action instead of words. They would not wait to be conquered. They would fight and they would remember. The ruins of the first battle still floated above Earth when humanity made its choice, and it was not the choice of victims. Instead of waiting for the aliens to return, the leaders of every nation gathered, and for the first time in history, there were no borders, no rivals, only one purpose: to chase the enemy who thought they could escape. Engineers worked day and night, turning old dreams of faster-than-light travel into reality, building ships that looked rough and unpolished, but carried the spirit of a species that never stopped pushing forward. Soldiers trained not to defend cities, but to fight in the void, practicing with new weapons that bent physics and old weapons sharpened with cleverness. Factories that once built cars and planes now forged warships, and entire generations volunteered to leave Earth behind, not to colonize, but to hunt. When the first human fleet launched, it was not with songs of exploration, but with silence, a silence heavier than any war cry, because every person on board carried the memory of fire raining on their home. The aliens who fled thought they had time, thought humans would heal their wounds and hide, but they were wrong. The chase had already begun, and in the darkness between stars, human ships moved with a hunger the galaxy had never seen before. They would follow every trail, cross every system, and show the invaders that running would not save them. Humanity was no longer defending Earth, they were rewriting the rules of survival, turning from prey into predators, and the stars themselves would bear witness to their relentless pursuit. Across distant stars, humanity's fleet left a trail of silence and fear, chasing the aliens who once thought themselves untouchable. Worlds that had been scarred by raids now saw new ships arrive, not to conquer, but to promise that humans would never allow such terror again. Every system the invaders passed through became a map of their mistakes, because humans learned from the ruins, copying alien technology, bending it to their own designs, and using it to move faster than anyone expected. In the taverns of distant colonies, whispers spread of hunters with human faces who carried vengeance across the void, who never stopped once they found a scent. The aliens tried to vanish into nebulae and abandoned stations, but shadows could not hide them for long. Every time they thought themselves safe, human scouts appeared like ghosts in the dark, cutting off escape routes and leaving messages carved into wreckage. "We are coming." The galaxy, once used to the aliens' reign of fear, now watched with unease as humanity transformed. They were not seeking glory, not seeking empire. They were seeking justice, and in their pursuit, they showed a determination that made old powers question their own strength. The shadows now belonged to humans. The aliens, cornered by a pursuit they never believed possible, gathered their greatest fleet in a system of 3 suns, believing that overwhelming force would finally break humanity's will. Hundreds of warships formed into a trap, their commanders certain that once the humans arrived, they would be swallowed whole by superior numbers and firepower. But when the human fleet appeared, it was not with hesitation, it was with precision. They had studied alien patterns in every skirmish, stolen their codes, and learned how their minds worked. What the aliens thought would be chaos became order, as human ships moved like a single blade slicing through the stars. Fighters broke formations at the exact second needed, capital ships struck at blind spots no one else could see, and weapons once alien turned against their former masters. For every trap the enemy set, humanity had already prepared a counter, and for every sacrifice, they turned the loss into a victory. When the alien flagship fell in a blaze that lit the system, the rest of the fleet fractured, scattering in panic. The hunters had become the judges, and the turning point was clear. Running no longer delayed the inevitable, it only made the chase longer. Humanity had proven they could not only survive but dominate, and the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. When the last great fleet of the aliens was shattered, the galaxy expected humanity to rest, to claim victory, and return home, but the humans did not stop. They continued to chase the scattered remnants across the stars, hunting them in asteroid fields, abandoned colonies, and deep space where no light reached. Each time, their presence spread a message louder than words. There would be no safe corner for those who had once brought fire to Earth. Civilizations that had lived in fear of the aliens now looked to humanity with awe, some with hope, others with fear, wondering what kind of power had been awakened. But humans were not seeking thrones or empires. They sought a promise that no species would ever dare to prey upon them again. In council chambers across the galaxy, old empires whispered that a new predator had entered the stage, one that fought not for conquest but for survival, and that made them even more dangerous. The aliens who remained alive hid in silence, their name becoming a warning even among their own kind: do not wake the humans. Back on Earth, the skies were calm, but everyone knew the hunt had changed them forever. They were no longer just defenders of their world. They had become guardians of a new order, willing to cross any distance and endure any cost to protect what was theirs. The stars now carried their legacy, a truth carved in fire and steel. Humanity had chased their enemies across the galaxy, and in doing so, had taught the universe that to run from humans was to be hunted without end.